On a storm-hammered Friday night, November 19th, 2021, I found myself soaked and shivering in the fluorescent glare of the 24-hour Grow Value Supercenter outside Portland, Oregon, because the little corner bodega I usually hit had lost power, and I just refused to host my weekend movie marathon without microwave popcorn. It was 12:07 a.m. when I pushed a squealing cart through the automatic doors, and my phone finally dropped the last bar of service. The storm outside snarling at the roof like a caged animal. Inside, everything felt off-kilter. The background music, some syrupy 90s ballad, warbled slow, almost underwater. The store smelled faintly of ozone and floor polish, as if the cleanup crew had mopped with rainwater. I planned to sprint to snacks and self-checkout, but the place was emptier than I'd ever seen it. No humming forklifts in produce, no chatter from the Night Stalkers. Just a single register light burning near the exit with nobody standing beneath it. Half the ceiling tubes flickered, casting warped shadows that jittered when the HVAC kicked. My sneakers squeaked louder than they should over the linoleum. On instinct, I pulled my hoodie tighter and aimed for aisle 13, the junk food aisle. Right away, the air temperature dipped several degrees, visible breath fogging the glass doors of the freezer section that flanked my path. A floor sign reading "Wet, Slip Hazard" stood in the middle of 13, though the linoleum looked bone dry. Odd detail, but I rolled the cart around it. From the far end of the aisle, a tall, wire-framed woman wearing a Grow Value vest appeared, back turned while she faced the cereal boxes, head tilted like she was reading ingredients. "Night shift's rough tonight," I called to break the silence. She didn't move. The closer I rolled, the clearer I heard a faint clicking, her fingernail tapping the side of a metal pricing gun over and over. I reached the chips. Every bag on the shelves was turned backward so the nutrition labels faced out, logos hidden. Same with cookies. Someone had rotated each product precisely. I forced a laugh, grabbed a bag of kettle corn, and the package felt strangely empty. Yet it crinkled like it was full of air. No weight. I tossed it into the cart. It made no thud, landed like a balloon. The clicking behind me stopped. When I glanced back, the employee was gone, pricing gun abandoned on the floor. The hair on my neck saluted. A squeal of rubber echoed 3 aisles over, similar to a cart pivoting sharply. Then again, closer. I decided I was done shopping. I pushed toward the main cross aisle, but the junction wasn't there. Instead, aisle 13 now stretched longer than physics allowed. Shelving on both sides, repeating. Same off-brand sodas, same misturned chip bags. The overhead aisle marker still said 13, dangling just above eye level every 30 feet, each one fresher than the last. I turned around. Same endless tunnel behind. My cart wheels started resisting like I was rolling uphill. The floor underfoot gained a sticky give, like old movie theater carpet. The PA system crackled to life with a voice so distorted I couldn't place gender. More like a child imitating an adult through a cardboard tube. Inventory count, aisle 13. 1 item, expiration, imminent. Something clattered loudly ahead, an end cap collapsing. Every shelf light snapped to harsh white, and all the nutrition labels flipped themselves simultaneously to face me again, as if the products pivoted in place. The cart kept fighting me, so I abandoned it, jogging toward a blue exit sign that blinked at the far horizon of shelving. My footsteps echoed wrong, delay too long, like in a canyon. Halfway there, the slippery caution sign I'd dodged earlier appeared in front of me again, identical smear of dirt at its base. I leapt over it. The PA crooned, cleanup requested, spill in aisle 13, hazard rating lethal. Lights behind me shut off section by section, darkness chasing like a wave. I sprinted. The exit sign retreated, staying always 30 yards ahead. Shelves blurred. I noticed every nutrition label had changed. Serving size now read 1. Calories. Final. Ingredients. U. The black barcodes underneath rearranged into strings of zeros, except the last digits, which matched my phone number. A human silhouette stepped from a gap near the sign, the tall employee, yet something about her joints bent wrong, shoulders too high like a marionette yanked by invisible thread. Her vest read, Guest Experience, J987. She raised an arm. Barcode scanner in hand pulsed red. The beam flicked across my chest and the PA announced, Item found. Returning to stock. Instantly, the floor under my sneakers vanished, like a trapdoor of black vinyl labels. I plunged through cardboard dust and fell flat on cool tile. I lay in silent darkness. My phone flashlight revealed I'd dropped into the back stock room. Pallets surrounded me, wrapped in plastic. Every box bore my name stamped in bold, each labeled perishable, used by 11/19/2021, today's date. My breath fogged in the stale air. Somewhere deeper, machinery hummed, an industrial compactor cycling up. I bolted toward a hazy exit light and burst through to the loading dock. Rain battered asphalt. No sign of the phantom aisle beyond the dock's roll-up door, just the real supercenter aisles stretching neat and ordinary. But when I glanced back into the storeroom, pallets were gone, replaced by ordinary detergent crates. The compactor sat dead. I hustled to self-checkout. A lone register had lit itself, total ringing 1 cent. The screen flashed, pay or stay. My cart waited there, kettle corn bag perched on top. I tapped a penny from my pocket, scanned it. Receipt printed blank except a timestamp 12:13 a.m. and a parting message. Thank you for restocking yourself. I sprinted through sliding doors into drenched parking. Behind me, aisle lights flickered once more and went dark. At home, I tore open the weightless popcorn bag. Inside, only a single price tag sticker curled in the corner. It read, Return to stock if unsold by end of day. The ink bled slowly until the barcode resolved into my signature. Now every grocery run feels like Russian roulette. If I wander too far from other shoppers, background music drags, labels pivot, and the PA whispers for inventory. I finish fast, stick to crowded stores, and never ever step down aisle 13, because if the system counts you as unsold merchandise, it always restocks before dawn. Around 3:15 a.m. on August 8, 2022, in the desert periphery of Tucson, Arizona, I was halfway through my second consecutive night shift as a biomedical equipment technician at Santa Oro Valley Medical Center when an urgent message flashed on my work tablet. Nurse, call malfunction. Room 417. Patient unresponsive. Normally, that meant a bed cord yanked loose or a pull switch broken, but 417 was part of an isolation wing shuttered for renovation. Lights out, doors locked, and most importantly, no patient assigned since February. Curious and too caffeinated to ignore a system fault, I took the freight elevator up 4 floors, past oncology humming with IV pumps, and stepped into the unlit corridor where drywall dust hung in the air like mist. My tablet screen bounced blue light off plastic-draped stretchers lining the hall. Every footstep scraped grit, but the building felt otherwise silent, chilled by night cycle HVAC. Room numbers on temporary paper tags guided me toward the west corner. Halfway there, the annunciator panel mounted overhead pinged a 3-tone chime, the one reserved for life-threat calls, followed by a synthesized voice reporting Room 417, bed exit, respiratory drop. The voice slurred slightly as if its pitch were set too low. That made no sense. The nurse call server should ignore unregistered beds. A second later, all corridor sconces flicked to half power, casting everything in sodium orange. My badge reader failed to unlock 417, but the door yawed open when I nudged it, hinges squealing like they'd never seen lubricant. Inside, renovation flood lamps dangled unplugged, yet an old wall sconce glowed dim aqua, just bright enough to reveal dust sheets over equipment carts and a lone hospital bed centered under a plastic-tinted return air duct. Bedside monitors sat dark. Still, every telemetry curve I tracked from the departmental dashboard now displayed for patient 417. Heart rate 54, SpO2 93%, blood pressure trending low. The only visible object capable of transmitting those metrics was a coiled sensor lead tossed atop the mattress. As I stepped closer, the nurse call pillow speaker on the rail emitted faint radio static punctuated by whispered syllables I couldn't parse. Its indicator LED pulsed amber, the code for voice in progress. I picked it up. The plastic felt ice cold. My ear caught a woman's voice, distant, as though shouted down a stairwell. Not my lungs. Something else. Battery. Then the line cut to a low buzz. I traced the call cord into the wall conduit. Nothing connected. The nurse call head end could only receive from wired stations, and that block was physically off the network. While kneeling, I noticed fresh footprints in the dust-bare feet, narrow, heel to toe, leading from under the bed out toward the bathroom door. A slab of plywood leaning across the frame, with caution sprinkle, lay en turfu kursher, dan soderser. Why so scrawled on masking tape. The prints ended at the plywood but didn't return. I went cold. Pulling the barrier aside revealed the gutted restroom, tile demolished, floor drain open. Faint moonlight filtered through a frosted window above the sink stub, illuminating something wedged against the drain grate. A folded patient wristband tagged with today's date and the name Utility. Instead of a medical record number, its barcode consisted of a single repeating string. 417417417. My tablet vibrated. Push alert. End tidal CO2 19 millimeters mercury. Intubate. The source ID again read room 417. From the surgical cart near the bed, drawers rattled, and a laryngoscope handle rolled onto the floor, batteries sparking on impact. I moved to pick it up, but the bed suddenly articulated, motor whining though no mains power fed the outlet, lifting to a 45-degree Fowler position. The mattress beneath the sheet bowed as though someone shifted weight, imprint of a torso deepening until the vinyl ever so slightly creaked. The vital signs on my dashboard climbed. Heart rate 60, O2 98. Respiratory effort waveforms sharpened like a real person inhaled. Against judgment, I pulled back the sheet. The mattress cover showed indentations of scapulae, elbows, calves, yet nothing visible pressed to the surface. The sheet had a faint damp spot near where a chest would rise. I slid the stethoscope hanging from my belt onto the depression and heard, through rubber tubing, not heartbeats, but the drone of fluorescent lights cycling at 60 hertz, layered with a higher-pitched telemetry alarm I'd heard years earlier in ICU. It faded, replaced by a voice whispering directly into the stethoscope diaphragm. Replace the battery before transfer. My tablet pinged. Code blue rolling to 417. ETA 2 minutes. No one had called a code, only operable rooms could. But down the hallway I heard the distant clatter of a crash cart being shoved at speed, its oxygen tank clanging against rail. Shadows bobbed against ceiling tiles as something hurried toward 417. I glanced at the bed power brick. Its backup battery pack, the kind I serviced monthly, displayed last service date, August 2022, and life expectancy 12 months. Today marked exactly 12. The indicator flickered red. Battery near failure. A memory surfaced. During the pandemic's peak, overcapacity made us store obsolete beds here, promising to scrap later. We removed batteries to prevent leaks. Yet this pack was live. The hall lights beyond the door flicked full bright, and I saw a gurney silhouette approaching, but wrong. No human pushed it. Instead, IV poles leaned like antennae steering it forward. I yanked the battery connector, sparks popped, sconce died, bed slumped flat. All vitals on my dashboard blanked instantly. Code blue tones in the hall ceased mid-whoop. Silence swallowed the ward. Footsteps, or what should have been footsteps, stopped outside the threshold, and wheels squeaked backward, retreating. I waited a full minute before risking a glance. Corridor empty except for a single cardiac board propped against wall, fresh dust wiped off where someone's hands had gripped. I backed into room, noted the nurse call pillow speaker now dark, its LED dead. On a hunch, I scanned the wristband barcode. My tablet overlay labeled the asset power management battery, status deceased, dispose per policy. Sunrise colored the windows by the time facilities staff arrived. They found me sitting outside 417 guarding the unplugged bed, but inside, every sheet, cart drawer, and the mysterious footprints had vanished under a new layer of gypsum dust. Work orders show no record of a malfunction. IT logs claim room 417's call station physically disconnected. Yet once, every night around 3:17 a.m., the exact inverse of the room number, my phone buzzes with an untraceable push alert. Check battery before transfer. I don't work nights anymore, but I still carry a spare pack in my trunk, because somewhere in that shuttered wing a patient I can't see refuses discharge until someone swaps the battery, keeping her bedside reality alive. At 2:58 a.m. on May 6, 2023, in the pine-choked foothills outside Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, I sat alone inside my backyard shack, really a converted garden shed crowded with amateur radio gear, taking part in a county emergency communications drill, when, out of nowhere, a shrill return tone burrowed through the headphones, freezing my hand just inches above the transmitter key and dragging me into a 2-hour conversation with somebody who claimed to be lost on my exact channel a year in the future. Though, honestly, the only thing they ever sent were coordinates to my own address and a countdown ticking toward the moment they said they would arrive. The drill schedule listed routine check-ins every 5 minutes. So when the first unfamiliar carrier broke squelch on 3.580 MHz CW, it should have been easy to just ignore. Yet the sheer clarity of the signal, zero fading, zero hiss, felt like the voice of a person standing right behind me, whispering Morse code directly into the coils. The station identifier it sent was just 3 dots, 3 dashes, 3 dots, SOS. But not in the normal sequence. Those dashes arrived an uneven half-beat late, like someone tapping with numb fingers. I answered with a standard RST exchange. The reply contained only 8 numerals, 47, 699, 183. Not a call sign or phone number. I assumed grid coordinates until I typed them into mapping software and, to my surprise, watched a red pin land square on my street. Latitude perfect to my shack's roof vent. A chill crawled up my spine. Protocol said report unlisted traffic to net control, but, well, curiosity outweighed procedure. I asked for clarification. The transmitter responded with another string, 030000. My wall clock showed 2:59 and 17 seconds. Less than a minute later, the shack lights flickered. Every rig on the bench reset as if lightning struck the mains, though the sky outside stayed star-studded and calm. The moment the second hand hit 12, the radio blasted white noise so dense the VU meter pinned. Beneath, a voice modulated by single sideband rode the static. My own voice, distorted, begging, "Don't open signal loops. You'll let it through." The audio cut, replaced by a digital burst that auto-decoded into plain English on my laptop. Arrival exact 365 days after first contact stop verify, door sealed stop. I spent the next hour combing logs. No hint of that call on the web SDRs. Yet, each time I transmitted CQ, the same coordinates returned, appended with a new decrementing number. 364, then 363. By 4 a.m., the counter read 362, and the shack thermometer dropped 10 degrees despite propane heat. I signed off, unplugged, convinced that maybe fatigue had birthed hallucination. But the next night at exactly 3 a.m., the radio powered itself, even with the breaker off, and the countdown resumed at 361. Over the next month it never missed, even after I stored the rigs in the basement and slept with breakers pulled. The house wiring still thrummed at 3 a.m., toaster coils ringing faint Morse that resolved to the same digits. On July 4th, the signal included a new element, an attached WAV file. When rendered, it produced 20 seconds of ambient sound, a low engine idle, crunch of gravel, driver's side door creaking, then my own dog barking frantic from inside the house. I recognized the bark from an incident last winter when a stranger lingered at the mailbox. Some nights the audio swapped to my girlfriend humming as she watered the porch succulents, routine noises already lived yet broadcast as future warnings. Every file ended with a small metallic click I couldn't place. As autumn crept in, I tried shielding. A Faraday cage of copper mesh around the breaker box dimmed every appliance, but the radio still whined at 3 a.m. sharp, now counting down double digits. Net control heard none of it. Spectral captures showed the frequency dead. A friend with a spectrum analyzer drove up, confirmed no emissions. But when he left, his dashcam SD card later showed a burst of binary overlaying footage near my driveway. Those same coordinates. The countdown then at 72. With 2 weeks remaining, I barricaded the shack door, sealed windows, even changed call sign records, hoping to break the link. Yet the nightly broadcast crept into new devices. Bluetooth speakers, my phone's vibration motor tapping digits against the table in Morse. The dog refused the shack yard, growling at the empty shed. Each dawn after 3 a.m., a faint odor of ozone lingered around the Yagi antenna despite no storms. Midnight before the counter would hit 0, the air felt electrically charged. I installed cameras on every angle. At 2:59 and 50 seconds, all electronics powered despite being battery-pulled. The countdown voice, now perfectly matching mine, recited 10:09. I fled to the basement. Cameras streamed grainy images, the driveway empty, bare pines swaying. At 1, the feed cut. Silence. Then the unmistakable rumble of tires on gravel thundered above. Same engine idle from the WAV. Basement lights snapped off. A door hinge shrieked open. Slow footsteps descended the shack stairs on the monitor, though no human shape cast shadows. Just darkness moving like ink. I clutched the breaker panel, ready to kill power, but the Faraday mesh lifted on its own, copper strips unraveling as if magnetized upward. The radio voice whispered inches from my ear. "Loop open! Signal! Through!" My vision blurred into rolling interference lines, yet in that static I saw the missing frames. A delivery box left on the shack threshold, cardboard stamped 47-699-183, my coordinate string, and below a shipping date 1 year ahead. Mustering resolve, I threw the main breaker. Everything went black. Footsteps stopped. When dawn broke, the radio rigs were molten inside, plastic pooling on shelves. Outside the shack door sat a small, soot-smudged metal parcel, postmarked May 6th, 2024, exactly 1 year future. I left it unopened, buried under 6 feet of soil in the pine lot, each 3 a.m. Since the frequency stays silent, but my desktop speakers pop at random, releasing that same metallic click, like a lid unfastening deeper underground, reminding me there's a transmission still en route. And next May, the courier, that knows my exact call sign, will claim delivery, whether or not I accept the package. Lost in a supermarket maze, trapped by a dying battery's ghost, chased by a countdown only I could hear, fear found me each time in the most ordinary places. If these true stories set your pulse tapping Morse on your ribs, like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. Because the next everyday glitch might be your invitation into the dark.